What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to week 5 of the Classic Championship Series. We're in the Apollo League today, and we got a great matchup going on as New Origins taking on Elysium. I'm Ryan, joined by Elsa the Queen. And Elsa, how you feeling about today?
Feeling very excited to be here, Rye Chains. Thank you, as always, for the amazing introduction. Excited here to see New Origins and Elysium. We saw Elysium on the stream last week, picking up the victory against Theory of Everything. This time, a new opponent, new challenges. But for New Origins, still trying to pick up that first series victory here in the CCS. And so they're hoping to do it in style on the stream here tonight.
Yep, absolutely. And we are going to get into the pick and the ban for the first game coming up shortly. Like you mentioned, New Origins sitting at 0-3 at the moment here. And Elysium at 3-1. So a little bit of opposite tales for each of these teams coming in to today's matchup, but that's the beauty. Anyone can win any week. So, I'm excited to see what we got coming on here.
I'm excited as well, and I think that what I'm going to be looking at here for Elysium is they're 3-1 right now, but with their game score currently sitting out of those top three spots in Group B, and so it's going to be important for them to stack up these wins against the teams that they theoretically should beat in order to get into the top three here. Which will give them some advantage going into the very complicated playoff tournament bracket that I could not even fully explain to you at this time. But you can contact Flay if you'd like more information or would like a further explanation of the playoff system.
Yep. And we are halfway through the season, so that playoff is coming, a lot quicker than we think here. As there are 8 weeks of regular season gameplay here. We're getting word that Redacted is in the building for the draft.
Which definitely seems like kind of a what am I trying to say here? I mean, we talk about competitive integrity in this league. Not necessarily the biggest bastion of competitive integrity, but I guess that it shows just the confidence that you have if you're Elysium coming into this series. We did see them play really well last week. They won in 2-0 convincing fashion. And so we'll see if they can do it again here with somebody else that's not typically a part of their team choosing their picks. I don't know how hard to go on Redacted here, but based on his and my, he's about, I would say this, he's about as qualified as I am to be drafting for these teams. So not qualified is what that would mean.
We'll see how he feels about that one, but I guess let's look at last week what we saw. So we had Elysium playing Theory of Everything. They won 2-0. A big part of that game was 1 Duddy in the jungle and 2 Chaser in the bottom lane. Both of those players were able to get ahead and play pretty well. They also were playing with their sub mid laner in game 1. So they had Kiba Boy subbing in for Naysayer, and
Right.
Kiba Boy also performed really well on the mid. In a situation where maybe a non-ideal situation for their team where they're not playing with their starting mid.
Yeah, absolutely. And after the game, we had the pleasure of interviewing. Gosh, I'm so sorry, I cannot remember which member of the team, but what they talked.
It was
It was Duddy Brains. It was Duddy
Yeah.
Brains. So we had the pleasure of interviewing Duddy Brains, and he talked about how they have been playing about 50-50 with Naysayer and Kiba Boy. So, they've definitely got some flexibility there and experience playing with both of these mid laners. So I'm not sure if we have confirmation yet which one of them will be playing at the beginning of this series, but I assume it will be one of the two of them. Okay.
Naysayer
So
confirmed.
a Naysayer is in the building. And yeah, so we'll have that full starting roster. Believe we're just waiting for Elysium to be ready to draft here. And then we're will be underway.
We got it going on here. These bands are
Oh,
flying through.
there we go.
Elysium opt in to take away the Thresh, the Syndra, and the Nocturne. And New Origins taking away the Seraphine, the what's that champion's name again?
Mbessa?
Mbessa, thank you. And Silas. And then right away, we have a Nefiri pick on blue side. And then we have an Ivern snap locked in for New Origins.
I've got a little birdie told me that this Ivern is headed for the mid lane. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed by that. Like, if you could pick any champion mid lane, I mean, everybody remembers the lore of the LS coaching period for C9 when Ivern mid was the thing. So it's not completely troll. Obviously, something that you typically would practice a little bit before bringing it out. But with the Jarvan locked in, it definitely kind of shows us that this Ivern is not headed for the jungle where it typically goes.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I mean, I guess we'll see how it turns out. But wow, I mean, Elysium is just They got the dog team right now. 2 dogs. Nasus locked in.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm totally mixed up because I thought it was going to be Elysium that
Oh, it
picked the
is.
Everett, so we'll see.
I
Unless it's
see it
on the
now. I
wrong
see it.
sides.
Yeah, I think we're
But
swapped right
yeah,
now.
okay, that makes sense. There we go, there we
There
go.
we go.
But
All
yeah,
right.
we got Who Let the Dogs Out so far for New Origins. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where these champions go. Nasus jungle has been a big thing recently, more so than Nasus top lane even. So that is where it could be going, but obviously with Neferi as well, there's some flexibility there. Lucian locked in as the first AD carry. Very surprising to see for me, Ride Chains, just because there's quite a few other options that they could have gone with, but Lucian is what they decided to do. It's a little bit short range, doesn't necessarily have that hyper carry potential of other champions, and Caitlyn being locked in against it definitely could be pretty punishing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Lucian isn't one of those super OP champions that you see right now in the meta. You have the Smolder, you have Jinx, you know,
Right.
a lot of hyperscaling AD carries to kind of farm up and play the late game. Lucian has that really strong early game, and if he gets ahead, then he can snowball really hard. But it does, depend a lot on the support that he's paired up with, right? So as we come into the second stage of bans, interested to see, kind of what Elysium picks for their support, and then how New Origins can counter that and pair it with the Lucian nicely. Aatrox and Garen, the first 2 bans taken off of the table here. And, from what it looks like, mid jungle 80 carry picked in the first 3 for both of these teams.
Yeah, that does seem to be just about right as we got the Pantheon band away, one more band left to go, probably expecting it to go to the top lane again. Hopefully it's not a mid laner since that's where we think this Ivern is going to go. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess so far here, if you are Elysium. I mean, I'm just thinking about drafting around like an Ivern mid. You definitely want to have carries in their other roles here. Especially, I mean, Jarvan can do some damage for sure, but not necessarily some kind of hyper carry jungler champion. And so last couple of picks here to round it out. Yeah, I mean, I would expect probably some kind of range support that goes well with the Caitlyn, and then some kind of carry top laner is what you'd like to see, I think.
Yeah, yeah, like a Lux could be in play here. I know that's a really strong champion to pair up with the Kaylin because of the snare. Oh, sorry, Lux got banned. Cannot be Lux.
They thought it was
But
so good they banned it
it was
out.
so, yeah, they were in my head. They knew. But a Mel is going to be locked in here. So that also can go mid. And it
Could
could
be
be an
Ivern
Ivern
support, I
support.
guess. You're right. You're
But
right.
the insider knowledge that we have leads us to believe that it might be Ivern mid, even though no one else probably in the world would think that.
Yeah, probably not. Although I'm telling you, it's been a thing in the past, so it's not completely unbelievable.
Ooh,
Blind
okay.
pick Jax though is that's an interesting one. Jack's a decent champion right now, but definitely countered by a lot of things. So we'll see what they decide to go with alongside that, and then we would assume that whatever we're going to see here is probably the support.
Yeah, and I mean
So
that's just kind of a confidence pick, right? From Antioch is just blind picking the Jack, saying, "All right, whatever you pick, I'm gonna scrap," and I'm feeling confident with what I got. So I like to see the confidence coming out here. Milio is going to be the pick paired up with the Lucian in that bottom lane, and okay, yo,
yeah, that's going to be an exciting matchup top lane if they do
oh
lock that
no,
in. Go into something else maybe. Kale definitely a little bit less exciting early in the game, but I guess we cannot take any of these hovers super seriously at this time because they're just hovering them all.
okay, Singe,
Okay. All right.
wow,
Yeah.
okay, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, Singed is not something that we see a lot. Definitely a champion that has a particular play style, would like to be proxying between, the turrets if he can. But that's something that is not necessarily super easy to set up if it's not if you're not used to playing a lot of Singe. So will be interesting to see what Viva does here with that pick. I guess we're kind of assuming with all of these swaps where those champions are going to go. We don't 100% know yet, but yeah, some kind of setup going on here for Elysium. I don't know. I mean, they're obviously kind of trying to have a little bit of fun with this. I would just say that that can be dangerous. I mean, all the players, okay, New Origins hasn't had the best split so far, but all their players are on, the same elo level, similar level of sort of baseline skill as individual players of the enemy team. So, I would like to see Elysium get punished for their hubris here.
You know what they say, pride cometh before the fall. We'll see. We'll see how this game goes. But yeah, Elysium right now sitting at 3-1, sitting towards the top of their group. So they're feeling good about themselves. Elysium trying to get that first win of the split going for themselves here. And I think this is this is going to be a banger game one. With the Fearless draft, we're not going to be able to see any of these champions in game two. Maybe
Yeah,
that's for the
true.
best. Maybe that's for the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, usually it's like, game one kind of thins out the top tier of champions that are available. But in this case, it really doesn't. So, it's going to leave a lot up for game two, no matter what happens here. So could lead to some more exciting drafts down the line. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this is an exciting draft. It's just a little bit mismatched. I mean, I'm hoping that it leads to a chaotic game here in game number one. That's definitely my hope.
Oh
Here.
boy. We had a little mix up in the draft to start off here. They had the wrong roles selected, so we are
Oops.
going to get that figured out. And they'll get
While
back
they
into
figure
the
that
draft
out,
here shortly.
yeah, while they figure that out, I did want to give a quick shout out to the CCS merch store. As you can see tonight, I'm rocking the CCS hoodie. Got my CCS hat here. This hoodie, so soft. I would describe it as buttery soft. Really, really nice hoodie. So you can check it out in the Discord. We would love your support and represent the CCS whenever I go out. I've usually got tons of people when I'm wearing this coming up to me, recognizing me, recognizing the league, and shouting out what we do. So if you want to be a local celebrity like myself, would definitely recommend checking it out on the CCS merch store.
And I mean, with you, it's interesting because you're a celebrity even without the CCS merch on.
Right.
So it just
But
brings extra added attention when you do have it on.
yeah, you walk around, people, it's a little overwhelming, honestly, sometimes. They come up, they ask for your autograph, kind of,
Picture.
yeah, exactly. All of the above. But, of course, I'm a good, I want to represent the CCS, so I always entertain those requests.
Very, very kind of you, and that's what we expect, out of the go. So, I guess
Absolutely.
as we are getting, through this champion select, we are back in the client draft. But I do want to give a quick reminder here. We're continuing to run our CCS Revival replays with y'all. We got some tech that allows us to watch and download replays even after client patches. All we need from you is to upload all raffle files of your match to the hashtag Apollo Replays text channel in the Discord. Be sure to include all game replays and team sides per game. Main goal of this is to have your matches on the CCS YouTube, so we all have access and potential to watch all the CCS matches week over week instead of just the stream matches. And who knows, they might even get casted over. So think your game is a banger, upload it to Apollo Replays. That's going to be key because we want to see all your games. Why have one series when we could have all of them? The more the merrier.
More is better. That's what
More
we
is
say here
better
in
than less.
America. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is indeed what we say here. We are going to take a short break to get into this competitive integrity spectator delay, but we will be on to the Rift shortly for game number 1 between New Origins and Elysium. Don't go anywhere. And we are on to the Rift for game number 1 between New Origins and Elysium. New Origins on the blue side for this game. Antioch on the Jax in the top lane. In a Barbie world on the Fury in the jungle. On set on Nasus in the mid lane. And Nike Dragon and Nintendo Forever rounded it out with the Lucian and the Milio in the bot lane.
And for Elysium on the red side, we got an interesting composition here. We got Singed in the top lane, Viva on Singed in the top lane, Duddy Brains on Jarvan in the jungle, Naysayer taking the Ivern mid, Chaser on the Caitlyn, and then Ahop on the Mel. And Viva already messed up the proxying, so that's kind of what we expected.
Unlucky off to a little bit of a rough start there, but that's okay.
I mean, he got most of them. He got most of them at least, but not exactly how you want to pull it off. Pretty good heads up play from Antioch to be ready to counter that in top lane. That's going to be very important for the Jax. I think one thing that's interesting to me about this matchup is like if you're Jax, you pretty much would prefer to minimally interact with the enemy top laner for a good amount of time in this match, well, in really any matchup, because he's a very level and item dependent sort of champion. So not necessarily like, I mean, definitely in my opinion not a counter to Jax. There might not not going to get punished 1v1 in lane very hard, presumably, although you never know. So as we get started out here, bot lane, definitely expecting for the Mel and Caitlyn to have the push priority in this lane. And so far they have done just that.
One thing to keep in mind here as we go later on into this game is the Nasus stacking. Obviously Nasus is one of those champions that can infinitely stack. And it's going to be looking to, stack up against this Ivern in the mid lane here. Taking a look, Viva opting to go for Flash Ghost for the summoner spells on Singed in the top lane. Teleport will come later,
Yep, get free teleport nowadays, so. But I do think that usually you want to have teleport early on Singed because you want to be able to proxy those waves and then just like go back to the base and teleport back in. So it's, again, not necessarily optimal. You can see that Jax is already taking the lead here in the CS. Ideally, you would be, denying as many of those as you could to the turret, and the wave would be shoved in for Singed. So again, just not necessarily super. I mean, we're getting really picky about the Singed gameplay here, but from this presumably troll draft, but we're not seeing it played out how we normally would so far. But I think overall here, when you look at the side of New Origins, they have pretty good scaling. I mean, they, like you said, they've got the Nasus stacking in the mid lane. They also will have the Jax stacking, scaling in the top lane. Whereas on the other side, seeing some of these champions that definitely sort of fall off as the game goes on. Caitlyn has a pretty big lull there in the middle of the game, as well as Jarvan eventually kind of tops out in the damage. But that's why it's going to be really important, I think, to track Naysayer in the mid lane on the Ivern. How much will he be able to enable the other carries?
Here we go as in a Barbie world into this bottom lane. Early heal is going to be used by Ahop and the barrier by Chaser. But that will dispel any further aggression from New Origins here. Successful gank, I would say, by End of Barbie World. Got 2 sums out, but no casualties.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not quite as successful. They would have liked to at least blow a flash there, but there's just not a ton of enablement for the gank either between the Lucian and Milio combo. I mean, I do think it's a pretty good combo. In general, it's nice to give the extra range to the Lucian once he gets access to the ultimate. But as you can see in the 2v2 early on here, it's going to be Chaser and Ahop just, having a huge advantage, not only in range, but also in the amount of damage that they're able to put out early.
Viva gets caught in the proxy and will go down. First blood to in a Barbie world.
Yeah.
Sorry, Barbie world.
Close enough. Yeah, I mean, Singed is not able to get away there. That's not ideally how things should go. But hey, I mean, I guess the win here is that once you die, you start to be worth a lot less gold. And so now he can just keep dying to proxy, and he will not be as punished as he would be otherwise. So, trying to look at it in a positive light, that's what I would say.
Early Dragon started up by Elysium, Naysayer, and Duddy, taking that one down here. And one thing to mention, we talked about the early advantage that's going to be here for this Elysium bottom lane here. About a 20 CS lead for Chaser already. Finally taking that first recall, picking up the pickaxe, longsword, and boots. So this Kaylin is going to be, quite annoying for Nike and Nintendo in this bottom lane, especially after this back.
Yeah, it will be like pretty much a straight up 20 CS lead here for Caitlyn. I'm not sure if she'll be able to catch any of those on the back end coming back from base. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty punishing early here. I mean, they have managed to not die, but gank into the mid lane.
Naysayer has to burn the flash. Inner Burby World goes further here as Nass is taking the tower, trying to go. One more Q will do it, and plus 12 for onset.
Will he be able to get away? Duddy Brains is trying to look for him.
Duddy is in the area, spots him on the sweeper. Flag and Drag's going to connect, but no Cataclysm yet, and the Blast Cone is there, but the flash forward. Duddy is able to block the auto attack for the time being, but not long enough, as now Aof is here as well. Antioch also running down. Flag and Drag flashed away by Onset as they aggress onto Ahop. Antioch flashing forward as well. Stun's going to find Duddy Brains, and we'll see the damage coming in. Naysayer is back as well here. Root goes wide, but Daisy has been called up. Flag and Drag finds one. Antioch is doing so much damage, and Duddy goes down, aggressing a bit too far forward. Stun lands, plus the knock-in from Daisy, and Antioch goes down as Viva's now joined the party and will find the last hit onto Onset. So a little bit of a battle going on in this top side.
Meanwhile, oh
my gosh! I didn't even see. I looked away for a second, and Chaser's down.
Yeah, Chaser gets 1v1 under the turret by Nintendo Forever. That's just what I'm going to say happened. Since we didn't see the rest of it, I'm just going to assume that it was a straight up 1v1 between the Milio. But lots of action here early on, and New Origins is alive, getting kills onto both of their super scaling mid lane and top lane carries is going to be huge for them. Both Nasus and Jax picking up that extra gold. So, yeah, I mean, you like the way that this is looking for New Origins, and Onset doing a really nice job of kind of dancing around that blast cone and ultimately, getting that first disengage so that he wasn't able to, so that he did not die. And from there, things look pretty good.
Yeah, and the 2-kill lead now for New Origins is offsetting a lot of that gold lead, in the side lanes that Elysium has here. Now Viva and Antioch scrapping a little bit. Duddy's going to find Onset, who does not have any summoner spells here. Flag and Drag gets dodged out nicely, but the root connects, and the Cataclysm going in. Here we go. Nasus Ultimate's coming down as the Qs are flying. Look at Inner Burby World over the wall, connects onto Duddy, and Duddy goes down.
Yeah, and nice play there by the jungler to be able to have a nice counter gank.
Wait a minute. Look at this. Damage coming in here. As Nike has to run, Mel Ultimate and Ace in the Hole are going to be used here, but no casualties yet as the barrier and the heal burned on both sides.
Yeah, a pretty close fight, honestly, in the bot lane. Closer than you might expect it to be based on the fall, at the very least.
Nike Dragon looking forward, aggressing! The last auto double shot is enough, and Chaser goes down!
Yeah, and this is the problem with kind of doing these kind of troll drafts like Elysium is doing here, is that it, again, that as a team, so far, based on the available data that we have in CCS, Elysium has been the more successful team. However, that also assumes that, they're picking things that they actually normally play, which is presumably what they've been doing on a week-to-week basis. It's definitely what they did last week. When you're picking suboptimal things like this, ooh, there's Nike Dragon getting really low. Ooh. Duddy Brains.
Here he comes. Cataclysm not yet available, but Nintendo and Nike really low. Seems like they're just going to be able to walk it out. Yes.
Nice. Nice play by Nintendo Forever to be able to hit his Q there and prevent the Jarvan from being able to EQ in onto Lucian. So they're going to be able to walk that one out, like you said, about a 1,000 gold lead here so far for New Origins.
Daisy
are actually doing a good amount of damage here, but I mean, this is the nice thing. I mean, Nasus, okay, obviously he's getting pushed back now.
Oh, he's taking the
really
tower!
Die?
No!
Okay. Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh, disaster. Naysayr goes down into the tower.
I feel like Onset never needs to be truly worried about the 1v1, getting killed 1v1 there. Like, he went quite low, but he was probably always going to be able to walk that one out. And the only reason why Naysayr was able to get that much damage in the first place is because his positioning was so aggressive. And so, yeah, I mean, the gap continues to grow here. But, I mean, the other thing is that Ivern is not a 1v1 champion, right? So the real impact of the Ivern should theoretically be felt once we get into the team fights. We have seen one dragon so far go down over to the side of Elysium. The second one is up. So maybe we could get the first larger team fight over that objective in a few moments here as both jugglers are sitting in the bot lane.
Naysayr was down here as well for a little bit, and look, Onset is just walking straight bottom lane now, as Duddy walking forward, looking for an engage here. Flag and Drag not going to connect, but the Cataclysm going in. There's 4 members here for New Origins, and Duddy has aggressed a little too far in a Burby world, going forward. A double kill comes through for him, and now Ahab is the next target. The damage comes through in a triple kill for in a Burby world, and the Dragon is going to be theirs.
Yeah, a very clean team fight. Look at the amount of HP lost. Just very, very little for New Origins. They initially try to go in onto Nike Dragon, but one of the benefits of Lucian is his mobility. He has to end up expending the flash, but able to E out of the initial CC so that they can't layer one over the other. And the Dragons being evened up here. Yeah, I mean, now the Naafiri being 5-0-1, that is actually the biggest problem, I would say, for Elysium, because he should be able to just absolutely one-shot this Caitlyn. And, I mean, you know, we talked about during this draft, like, wanting to see some kind of, or I did at least, see some kind of carry top laner, which Singed does build some damage, but it's not going to be that hyper carry champion that synergizes with the Ivern. You know, sometimes the Ivern could build some kind of support items to be able to benefit him, but not with Singed. And so, you know, it would presumably be Chaser who's the one who has to output the majority of the damage for this team. He's now at 0-3-0, does have a pretty good CS lead and has been able to pick up some gold from these turret plates here, but I don't think that that's going to be very effective in the world where Naafiri is this fed. Already has the Cyclo Sword completed here with an extra pickaxe as well, so should just be able to hit that R button on Caitlyn in these team fights, you know, on repeat and take her down.
Yeah, and for reference, right now Onset 252 stacks on the Nasus, so stacking up all right in this mid lane. Naysayr and him have been scrapping a little bit. You can see there's about a little under a 2-wave lead, but look at Nike going in now. Gonna get rooted up. Breath of Life is gonna be used. Flag and Drag connects, and Nike is in trouble going forward. Almost gets the kill, but then does after from the grave. 1-for-1, 80 carries down.
Yeah, I mean, gotta feel happy with that. I think if you're New Origins, you don't have any jungler involvement, and you still managed to get another kill onto this Lucian, who's now 2-1-3 after the death. Yeah, top lane.
Flipped under the tower as Viva's now looking for it. Grandmaster at Arms forces out the flash, as both of these top laners have utilized their ultimates in that fight. But Antioch seems to be, you know, still feeling confident in this 1v1. Dashing forward in, flipped under the tower. What are we doing? He thought he had enough damage. Yeah, a little too confident. Thought he had a damage to take down Viva, and Viva just says, you know, here's the tower.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's no reason for the Jax to need to go for that all in to begin with. I mean, he's got the Dusk and Dawn completed, but I mean, really still trying to scale up here. Looks like he's going for some kind of, he's got the Hextech Alternator now, so looking for some kind of off AP build here on the Jax. Interested to see what he ends up finishing that into. Yeah, I mean, Singe is not going to be able to take too much advantage of that kill as far as being able to push into the turret or anything like that. Does get to go back to the base, and will continue to clear out these minions. But yeah, I mean, I think Singe is definitely a wild card. Oh,
Fighting in this bottom lane, the culling is used. Is the damage enough? Yes, it is. As Nike finds Chaser, Ahop to fall shortly after a double kill for the New Origins bottom lane. And this Lucian, look out, he's strong.
Yeah, he is really strong. The amount of burst damage he has coming out there, really, really impressive. Even with, I'm not sure if Chaser had the plated steel caps finished in the fight or not. Yeah, dude, Nintendo forever has been having a really good game. Definitely, you know, not only in those 2v2s, but also preventing more impact from these ganks. This is another gank that we saw that was thwarted by the Melio. And so far, this combo bot lane has been doing great things for New Origins.
New Origins bot lane definitely looking strong, and we talked in the pregame about how this Elysium bot lane was, you know, one of their strong points. So props to New Origins there for, you know, playing and doing well in this game, at least as we, you know, approach the 17-minute mark. One dragon on each side here. We got a Chem Tech, so the Chem plants bloom on the Rift. We sit about 4,000 gold lead in favor of New Origins for the time being, and the mid laners and bot lanes have swapped up now.
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to think of like what a successful team fight setup is going to look like. Oh, is
Antioch is in trouble. Gank's coming in here. The root is gonna stun him for the time being, but jumping out, just gonna delay the inevitable as Viva goes on a killing spree. Now 3-1 on this Singed. But meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the bottom lane tier 1 goes down as Nike, Ahop, Nintendo, and Chaser are scrapping again. Long lane. Yeah. They gotta run up into their jungle.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, 2 turrets to 0 so far here from New Origins, which also opens up the map, really. Getting the sideline turrets in particular, you can see Nasus obviously switched over there is really huge for him to be able to set up that split push threat. And, I mean, eventually here, it should get really, really difficult for Ivern to be able to hold the turret.
Oh, man. Chaser under the tower! In a Burby, we're throwing daggers as Chaser falls. Going in even under the inhibitor tower as Ahop falls as well. Viva now trying to do some damage, cause some chaos in the back lines as Duddy Brains join the party. And a Burby World has to flash over the wall to safety. It's a 2-for-0 so far in favor of New Origins as they have to now run for the hills.
Yeah, but they do get out without any casualties there. And we could see, again, how impactful and how much damage this Neferi is able to do, just totally zeroing out Chasers. Caitlyn now sitting at 701, does have the full 1,000 gold bounty. So when and if he does eventually go down, that will be a lot of gold into the pockets of Elysium. But again, I mean, what I was kind of trying to say earlier was I don't really know what a successful team fighting setup when you get behind like this for Elysium is. You know, you can Jarvan ult onto somebody and just try to dump all of your damage, I guess. But you know, like that's not going to be a good setup to be able to kill multiple members, especially once this Nasus and also the Jax are so tanky. Viva.
Okay, Viva in a rough spot here as Antioch and Nintendo are in this top lane. Oh, wait a minute. Nice usage of the ground there to stop Antioch from dashing in. Oh, Chaser and Ahop are here, but look, is Burby Chaser in trouble. Just gets one-shotted by the Neferi as he wants more. Now Ahop, the next target, dashing forward, throwing daggers. Not enough yet as Duddy now joins the party. Flag and Drag is going to connect, and on the backside, Ahop goes down. Burby flashing over the wall, trying to get out to safety, but the shutdown is claimed by Viva. Antioch teleporting back into the play here as Nike is boxing Daisy right now, and Daisy's winning.
That's a strong Daisy. That's a mid lane Ivern kind of Daisy. Yeah, so they do pick up that big shutdown onto Neferi. I mean, and Singed is quietly 4-1-0, so that is really the member that I guess has had the most success so far in this game. So it's going to be up to Viva getting onto the back line of New Origins and, you know, trying to deal with them later in this game. But again, I am a little bit skeptical of a Singed ability to you know, really kill more than one person in any given team fight, especially when you've got a Nasus and also a Jax who are going to get pretty tanky. Would expect, I mean, already for the Nasus, you can see that he's built up a good amount of magic resist here. So we'll have decent amounts of resistance towards Viva's damage. 0-7 for Chaser, who's not even playing a troll pick, by the way, so he doesn't really have that excuse. Just saying.
Yeah, it's been a rough game so far here. I mean, and that's not to say that the Elysium bot lane, you know, had a rough early. They were actually ahead in the early game, but just a couple plays going the way of New Origins made it really hard now for the Scaling and the Mill to play here. And you can see, I mean, right now New Origins sitting with a 5,000 gold lead. They're up 2 dragons to 1. And they got all 3 grubs. And look at this. Burby is just starting up the Baron by himself.
Yeah. Is he able to solo this? There's no way, right? Like, there's no way.
I mean, a lot of lifesteal, maybe.
Already got over halfway. It's already over halfway dead. Season 2026, the Baron does not do nearly as much damage. He will get Antioch's assistance here. But I think even without it, he might have just been able to take it down.
Yeah, I think it would have been no problem for Nefiri there. But New Origins now wearing purple as we continue on in this game, commanding lead, 5.5k gold lead for them, and feeling pretty good here. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, so that's going to be the next major objective that we fight over. And I don't know, it just seems really hard for Elysium to even play in these dragons.
Yeah, I don't, you know, again, I mean, the Nefiri continues to me to be the biggest issue. We've seen multiple team fights in a row now that in a Burby world has been able to kill both bot lane members of Elysium, no problem, and still have more in the tank after that. So they're going to have to try to find, again, some kind of way to play around this Singed who's currently dying.
Viva in trouble. Nintendo and Antioch chase him down, but he's just fast. He can run it out. On the other side of the map, though, Dragon going down to New Origins. And this bottom lane tier 2 also going down.
Yeah. Gold lead sitting at about 6,000. I feel like it could be, I mean, I'm surprised that it's not even a little bit higher than that. But, you know, you'll take it definitely if you're New Origins, who, again, are looking for their first series win. They have won, I believe, at 1 game. They also have played less series than everybody else because they had a reschedule that has still not taken place. So I guess to be fair to them, we don't know, you know, they could theoretically have had one win before that, but they haven't done it yet. But looking to take a 1-0 lead in this series if they can close this game out. And with the scaling that they have, you really just got to think that they're going to be able to finish this one, unless Viva can say something about it.
I mean, they ran under the tower and took half health on Viva pretty easily, I would say. So I think New Origins feeling pretty good. And talk about a confidence game, right? In game 1, where Definitely. They just kind of win everywhere.
Yeah, it can feel fun to pick these drafts, but then, yeah, once you lose the first game in this best of 3, then it's just, you know, just takes one more. And, you know, even in games where there are skill disparities, we can see one team taking a game, you know, who ends up losing the series. So that's a lot of damage. So, yeah, I mean, if you're definitely in a tight spot after this, if you're Elysium, probably got to switch back to not having redacted draft for you if I was them.
Viva going in, gets the flip onto Antioch, but loses heavily on that trade as Daisy running down into the backlines. We're just going to land here, but the flip comes back, and Antioch finds the stun onto 2. Flag and Drag's going to find Antioch, but nothing further here as Chaser on the other side of the screen just gets almost one-shot completely by Burby in a Burby world has to run back to the base now as these inhibitor towers are under siege. The mid lane one will fall as Antioch going over the tower onto Ahop has to flash away as now Viva looking for blood. Can Viva find anything though? Flag and Jack's gonna connect. Fury of the Sands is used here. That inhib is not falling yet, but that's a huge cataclysm. Duddy has to flash out though after that, and now it is only onset in the middle of 4 of 5 as now he has to flash away. Burby World is here now, but a huge minion wave on that bottom inhibitor. No inhibitors fall, and no casualties either.
Yeah, they would have liked to crack at least one of those inhibitors, but they have opened up the base at this point. Has New Origin, and now they have to be even more worried about the Nasus getting into their base, finishing off these inhibitors. We could see the amount of damage that the Nasus Qs were doing to the inhibitor when he was hitting it. Very, very close to finishing it off there. Kind of looking at the items here as well. We've got basically almost 4 items on all of these carries. 4 items for Nefiri. Still working on it for a couple of the other carries here for New Origins, but it's getting a little bit rough. I guess it has been for quite a long time for Elysium. I mean, we could see when they were able to get a big cataclysm, that was really what made the difference as far as being able to separate members in the team fight and set up a team fight that looked like they could possibly win. But at this point, I think the Caitlyn really at least needs to finish the Infinity Edge to get her out of this power trough so that they can start to finish off some of the members, because they're definitely able to tickle them. Tickling their tonsils a little bit, but they're not able to actually finish off any of these kills, as you can see in that last fight. That'll be the next step if Elysium is going to be able to do anything in this game.
Yeah, and Chaser is working on that Infinity Edge here. Still a bit of ways to go, though. I'd say still about 1,000 gold on that Infinity Edge. Dragon spawning in 40 here. This is a potential Chemtech Soul for New Origins. They would love to pick that up. And it's just, again, so hard for Elysium to even get into these plays, right? They have no damage, and just even 1 Q from In a Burby World, half health Ahop. And another thing I want to mention is that In a Burby World opted for the Serpent's Fang, which is really, really nice here. Wait a minute, Nike Dragon gets caught with the Flagging Dragon in a Cataclysm, able to use it to get out as now the culling is gunning down people on the other side of the fight. Burby World finds a double kill. Duddy Brains goes back in. Oh man, it's a 4-for-0 so far as Viva, the last member standing. The rest of New Origins trying to chase him down. Should be able to, as Antioch on the other side doesn't even care about the team fight, just taking down the towers. The Nexus towers fall, and the Nexus will fall. New Origins takes game 1.
Yeah, New Origins with a very, very clean finish to that game number 1. Elysium wanted to show them a little bit of disrespect, it felt like, with this draft, and they did a great job of firing back, taking this win in game 1. So you would have to imagine that it's back to the drawing board for Elysium. I mean, maybe not even back to the drawing board, back to the serious drafting board. And I guess if you wanted to point out one positive, Ride Chains, it would be that, as we mentioned earlier, none of the really good champions here were taken away during that draft, and so because of that they will have the kind of their full well of normal champions, as we see the victorious team composition there from New Origins on your screen. We won't see the dog composition again either, but excited to see what New Origins can do in game number 2, of whether they can take this series down for themselves.
Yeah, New Origins with a strong showing in game number 1. They are victorious. We are going to take a short break, but we will be back for the pick and the ban for game number 2. Can New Origins take it in 2-0 fashion, or will Elysium force a game 3? We'll be right back. Alrighty. And we are back and into the draft for game number 2. We're getting active with it here as we are on the same sides as game 1. Seraphine and Thresh, the first two bans for these respective teams here. And, New Origins taking a pretty commanding victory in game 1. I have to wonder if Redact is going to be in the draft room for this game 2 for Elysium.
I mean, if it's me, he's fired forever. Like, I am not allowing him back into the draft room, so we can only hope that that is the case here. But, it's something that you'll only see here in the CCS. In those other leagues, you don't see admins of the league drafting for other teams. So it's just a little bit of the flavor that we provide to everybody on a weekly basis. I do enjoy that the bans are the same. Like they were banning seriously, but not picking seriously, which is kind of funny to me in the first game. But yeah, I mean, now we are at you know, um, New
Best of
Origins only has
ones.
to win one game. Yeah, exactly. It's best of one here for if you're I mean, I guess either team. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they can bring out in this second one. And I do think that it's nice even either way, even in troll draft or not for New Origins, you do definitely get a good amount of momentum from that first win. So they'll definitely want to carry that over into the second game. See if they can get something again for in a Burby World to get super fed, because that worked out really well for them. Although, Neferi is a pretty specific champion as far as her assassin ability in the jungle. Not a ton of jungle assassin picks. I assume that that's where this Jin Zhao will probably end up going. But we've also seen, some Xin Zhao mid shenanigans as well with Static Shiv and that kind of stuff. So the door is still open.
And on the other side, Elysium going for the Senna first pick here. Another champion that can utilize Dark Harvest pretty well. I believe a nerf came through, though, to where the Black Cleaver doesn't count as physical damage anymore. So it's not repeatedly stacking, but, still a strong champion. And then Shyvana, the newly, or at least the recently reworked Shyvana, comes in for Duddy in the jungle.
Yeah, so far this looks a little bit more serious, I would say, for Elysium. Picking up these two picks, I think it will be interesting to see where they end up putting the Senna, if it's Senna support, or we have seen Senna in the carry role as well recently, quite a bit in solo queue. So Zaya is going to be picked up on the other side. We'll see if they decide to grab the support alongside that before the second set of bans come through or not. I think it would probably make sense to get Nintendo Forever's pick, but last game, Nintendo Forever was huge for them on that Milio. Very, very impressive gameplay, but it's going to be the Silas, which I want to say was banned away actually in the first one. So it's left open this time, and Onset probably going to be the one piloting that for New Origins.
Yeah, Silas was banned away in game number 1. So Onset able to pick up one of those priority champions for themselves here. And we'll see. I mean, I would assume this is going to be a mid lane pick as well. And there you go. Galio is going to be locked in.
All right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. You don't want to take any more bans. Galio gets the magic damage shield, also another melee champion, so it doesn't necessarily have a super tough matchup into the Silas. Sometimes it can get outranged by other options, but won't be the case there. But I would say from the Silas perspective, not a bad matchup either. And it's also a good ultimate to be able to steal. So that's something to keep an eye on here for Elysium, is making sure that you're not picking more really, really good ultimates for Silas to steal away from you. That's a trap that I see have seen teams in this league fall into in the past. So definitely something to track. The Vayne ban is an interesting one there. I guess banning Vayne top, I presume.
I like it.
So
It's
I
one of
mean,
those
Vayne top
champions
is
that can
annoying.
really, yeah, it can really, really make life hard for Viva, who, did play pretty well on the Singed in game 1, kind of was that lone bright point maybe for Elysium in that game. But going to be put on, oh, actually, this could be Sion bot
It's true.
with
Could
the
be.
Senna. That
The
is one of
Vayne
those
ban makes
combos.
sense if you were gonna pick Scion, though,
Yeah.
because you definitely do not wanna play, Scion into Vayne. That is a terrible matchup, but
Oh, how about
instead,
Gwen? Little drop off there, but we are back, and we're finished out on this draft phase here. Wait,
we've got some it's as if a
that's not correct.
different draft entirely happened on the screen, but that is not
For
the
yeah,
champions that they picked.
what happened was Rel got picked for New Origin. That was the only pick that's come through yet. Still waiting on R5 from Elysium, and it's gonna be the brand locked in there. So that's always fun. It's gonna be Senna and Brand in the bottom lane for Chaser and A-Hop. It's pretty annoying. It's
Yeah,
pretty annoying bot lane.
it is. So do you think that it would just be Senna AD carry and then Brand support?
I think it's probably Brand to carry.
Okay, but so what's interesting in the um with the roles, the different role quests or whatever, now you can't just swap the if you want to have the carry, you got to have it
Yeah,
in the bottom
and
lane
select.
spot. Used to be a little bit more flexibility around that for Senna compositions, but now you got to show what you're doing in that way. But yeah, I mean, definitely an annoying bot lane to go up against, especially with the Rel being your. I mean, I would say both Rel and Zaya, honestly, pretty annoying. They got short range support, and then also Zaya does not have any escape before level 6, so definitely going to be looking for Chaser and Ahop to punish that lane early on in the game. This is looking like a real team composition, though, here from Elysium.
All
Now
right, we are back on
we
the
got the
screen.
real draft.
Yes, these are
We
the
got
real
the
drafts. Like we saw the Brand and the Rel getting picked in there. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess just looking at these compositions, a little more standard than we saw in game number one. We have actual mid laners, and Nintendo was really strong on that Milio in game number one, able to dispel a lot of the engages from the Jarvan. Rel is another Rel is, I'd say, more of a playmaking champion. So
yeah.
trying to enable Nintendo a little bit. Who's feeling himself? I would say after game one, you got to be feeling yourself after a performance like that.
Yeah, and I think that it sets them up well for success to have Nintendo Forever on the RAL, because even though it will be annoying to play into this Senna brand bot lane early on, if they can get the Xin Zhao down there to gank, and if RAL is able to get on top of them, obviously both Brand and Senna are pretty much immobile champions, so that will be really annoying and potentially deadly for them if the RAL is able to find decent engages. But I think that overall, looking at, speaking of engages, Elysium has a lot of options for engage here. For both the Scion and the Shyvana, it always feels good to be able to jump in and then have the Galio going on top of your head as well. Both of those, both that Scion and Shyvana, really good, basically delivery systems of the Galio into the middle of the enemy team comp. On the other side, though, for New Origins, going to be looking at Antioch on this Gwen, because he has the counter pick, got the counter pick, has the good matchup in the top lane, and the split push could become pretty deadly later on in the game. So we're going to be watching that Gwen in the side lanes as the game goes on.
Absolutely, and I think we're gonna get a lot of big team fighting here. The 4v4 is gonna be, I would think, pretty exciting. Both of these sides have nice engage, like you talked about, and if these top laners are off on their own, battling it out in the side lanes, I think that both of these teams are going to be willing to pull the trigger, and just kind of see what happens, right? Like Zaya is one of those AD carries who's pretty strong and scales quite well. And I think nowadays the Xin Zhao build is more magic focused. So if the Zaya is not able to get ahead, it becomes really easy for Elysium to just stack MR, and the Zaya is not going to do any damage. So we'll have to see how that goes moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, Nike Dragon was very scrappy in that first one, despite a difficult early lane on that Lucian. Ended up doing, making a huge difference in the fights later on, but he's not going to have the same amount of mobility. Obviously, Zaya with the ultimate does have some sort of escapability, but not to the same degree as the Lucian, who has that E up, very, very often as the game goes on. One other thing that I'm going to be really looking at personally here, I've never seen Silas use the Shyvana ult. So I'm excited to see that potentially. Does he turn into the dragon when he does it? I mean, I assume yes, right?
I
So
believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So purple dragon? I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, we'll see. But you
Uh,
know, production's in my ear saying some crazy things, and that that's just what that's part of the CCS, baby. That's what we love to happen here. We love to see it. We love to hear it. We're gonna take a short break before we get on to the Rift for game number 2. So get your water, get your snacks. We're gonna see if New Origins can take it in 2-0 or if Elysium can push a game number 3. We'll be back. And we are back onto the Rift for game number 2 between New Origins and Elysium. Same sides here as New Origins on the blue side, Antioch on the Gwen in the top lane. In a Burby world, on Jinzao in the jungle, Onset on Silas in the mid lane, and Nike Dragon and Nintendo Forever rounding it out with the Zaya and the Rel.
And for Elysium back on the red side, you got Viva in the top lane on the Scion, Duddy Brains in the jungle on Shyvana, Naysayer mid with the Galio, and then Chaser and Ahop rounding it out with the Senna and Brand. And so far, I mean, not so far, I guess, just how it is. We do have Chaser playing the Senna in the bot lane role. So assuming that he is going to be taking the farm here, looks to be the case so far. So not necessarily what we would have expected, but that's what it's gonna be for the bot lane of Elysium here.
And as we get into this early game here, got a little bit of an opportunity for you guys. Do you want to piss your friends off live on stream? Are you interested in baiting the players or even a coach? Through pure CCS ingenuity, we've made that possible. For just 100k at channel points, you can get your message shown live on screen mid-game, just like you can see right there from that random CCS citizen. LCS style. Want to bait even more people? CCS subscribers get one free bait per month. One rage bait per game, first come, first serve, so get in there quick. No carryover per month either. This is not your corporate PTO program. Make sure you hit up Flay or Redacted or any other CCS mod for questions and requests. And we'll see you on the Rift. Hopefully we get some good rage baits coming in here, as this is it's a pretty cool opportunity that we got this season. Naysayer and Onset scrapping in this mid lane here. Naysayer's getting the better of it for now.
Yeah, I don't know that rage rate that was kind of mean. I mean, I guess that's the point of it. But yeah, I don't think that is a typical chaser score line, at least based on what I've seen. So I don't know what that random citizen is talking about, but I guess they have rage baited me, so I suppose that it's a successful rage bait redeemed. So
It was said in the chat earlier. Just a question.
yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, it's just just making sure there.
Ooh, okay, a little damage coming in. Nintendo
Oh,
taking it pretty low here. Now they're just going to land onto Nike. Let's see. No really abilities here for Ahop. Got to wait on those long cooldowns early game. But, we saw this in game number 1 as well. The early bottom lane lead goes to Elysium.
yeah, I mean, it's really going to take jungle involvement probably, anytime early in this game for the bot lane for New Origins to be able to win a 2v2, that or just really horrific positioning by Elysium, because they have such a big range advantage and pretty much, and also just an advantage as far as the power of their champions. Early on here. So far in a Burby world, though,
Oh, nice
has
step.
just kind of gone for that full clear as Onset taking quite a bit of damage in the mid lane, but not enough for lethal here so far for Naysayer. But yeah, I mean, for Elysium, this is really the first game that they are on an even footing from minute 1 with their champions. So let's see what they can do with that. It just kind of seemed doomed from the beginning in game number 1. I don't expect Duddy Brains to really be involved in the map very much until hitting that level 6 on Shyvana, as Onset is playing with fire here. He's got to get back to the base. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think Jin Zhao probably will attempt to get involved at some point here after the second clear. So far has built 2 long swords, so not sure what the first item will be. But as you mentioned in the Champion Select Raichens, we have seen kind of a mix of builds for Jin Zhao, especially ever since Static Shiv got introduced into the game. But yeah, that's the jungler that I expect to be active early, if either of them would be.
Ooh. Antioch popping this ghost in the top lane, looking for Viva. The Conqueror is procced here. We'll see if the snips can come through, as Viva's taken pretty low, but nothing too dangerous yet. As
Is
about
able
a
to.
12 CS lead in this top lane.
Yeah, I mean, but that is what you want to see. Antioch doing well early on this Gwen, and will only get more and more punishing as time goes on for Viva on the Scion. But for the Scion, you're really not looking to win late.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay, Chaser has to flash out to safety here as the sun goes on to Ahop. In a Burby roll this here as Ahop now flashing away. Ignite's going to be ticking as well, but the root goes wide from Chaser. And both flashes burned on the Elysium bottom lane. And just an Ignite burned from New Origins.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. To blow both of those flashes, would definitely expect there to be a return gank within the next 5 minutes here from in a Burby world. But after that, after that engagement, Duddy Brains knows that he should have space on the map to take down that first dragon. So likely to do that here for Elysium, who also took the first dragon of the game last time. And even though they did get both of their flashes burned, we can still see the bot.
Oh, in a Burby world, back into this bottom lane, but wind does not become lightning. And the heal
Not
is
this time.
also used. But everyone's okay for the time being. As we approach 6.5 minutes, no bloodshed yet.
Yeah, so a quieter early game, which makes sense, just a little bit more. Teams taking this one a little bit more seriously, or at least Elysium is. But I mean, look at that CS differential there in the bot lane early on. It's
Yeah.
Elysium has double the CS of the new Origins bot lane. So even though they have burned those summoner spells, they are digging themselves a bit of a hole as it comes to the gold early on in this game, which definitely could impact things in these early team fights. So that's something to keep an eye on here.
Right now, we got about an 800 gold lead for Elysium. And a lot of that is in that bottom lane.
Yeah.
Atex doing a good job, though,
Um,
in this top lane. Getting a little lead.
yeah. And once they hit level 6, that's when the New Origins bot lane could probably actually look for some kind of
Yeah.
engagement. So that should be coming up fairly soon here. Both junglers just still kind of continuing to clear, pick up as much gold as they possibly can before the next team fighting engagements. Galio, interesting. I mean, I guess I'm not totally sure what all the normal Galio builds are right now, but they are going to start with the Bomby Cinder here for Nacer. So kind of going for a tank Galio mid option here, which has been working so far against Onset Silas. Pretty even in CS, but Onset has been losing on the losing end of these trades, it seems like, for the most part, and just kind of trying to
Oh,
scrap things up under the tower. What are you doing, Naysayer?
did he
You missed
disconnect?
the
Oh, he
cannon.
disconnected. Oh, wait a
Oh
minute.
no.
Follow it. Get coming in. And there's
All
the
right.
box. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Cool.
I I saw him stand still, and I was like, "But you're gonna get the cannon, right? You're gonna get the cannon? Yeah, we'll get the
Yeah.
cannon." And then he didn't get the cannon, and I was like, "Oh, maybe he disconnected." That often
Yeah,
you just
so
see that.
yeah, not just not even walking up to get the cannon. So we are into a pause here for now. I mean, obviously not that much has happened in this game so far. The producer is in my ear telling us to talk about sexually transmitted infections. That's what they call it these days. But I am not going to say anything about that other than get tested. Make sure you protect yourself and your partners. That is all I have to say on that given topic
That's well
for
done
right
right
now.
there. That's well
I
done
took
right
health
there.
class in 11th grade, 12th grade, whatever. Still got it up here.
Still got
So,
it.
yep.
We got
Definitely.
about a 1.2K gold lead here for Elysium. Like you mentioned, a little bit of a stronger start um, to this game number one for them here. They got the dragon. It's been the Infernal, and we have Ocean Dragon as the second one spawning here. Um, we are in this pause for a little bit of time. I haven't seen anything in the chat about it. He says they said tell mid to fix his computer because he's lagging. So no news on when they're gonna be back yet. So I think what we might do here. Oh, he's back. Just kidding.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I mean they always come back. Who wouldn't want to miss out on playing in this CCS game? Although I can see in their Discord chat here, I do not see naysayer in the Discord chat, so that does not necessarily bode well for us. So we will continue to wait for naysayer to come back. I wonder if there's like well, I guess the limit of time is probably. Actually, I'm not sure.
30.
Maybe we need to get a
Yeah.
rule book check here.
Should just be 30 minutes, right?
Do they
Pause
have
time?
30 minutes of pause time? That would probably make sense, I guess.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that would.
I know Blue Water is 10 minutes.
I think the best thing to do here is we'll throw it to a little break, and then we will be back on the Rift when these technical difficulties get solved out. We'll check a rule book. We'll consult a rule book as well here, and we'll be back with some more information. So we'll be right back, I guess. All right, and we are back on to the Rift here. We have our technical difficulties resolved. We got it figured out here, and everything's okay. Let's see. We got this game coming to the bottom lane here as Wind becomes landing on the Chaser. Oh, Chaser could be going down here as the first blood goes over to Nike Dragon. Ahop now running for the hills and a double kill for Nike. Okay, the Xayah is online.
Yeah, Xayah getting both of those kills is going to be really big because, like you talked about during the draft, right, Chains, this is a very magic damage focused composition from New Origins. And so if they don't have that reliable AD damage from the Xayah, things could get sticky for them later into the game. And not only that, but now Xayah has the 2 kills. And not only that, but we saw that big CS gap that did materialize early in this game for Chaser. So very, very important for Nike Dragon to be able to pick up those kills so that he can overcome that gold deficit as best he can. But in the top lane, I assume Viva must have seen him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it should be fine here. Viva shouldn't be in any trouble here. We're fighting mid as well. As Naysayer and Onset are scrapping. Naysayer taking pretty low, has to flash out to safety. As the Senna ultimate comes down and gives a little bit of a bonus shield just in case.
Yeah, pretty close. But yeah, I mean, we did, just so that the viewers know, during the pause time, we did consult the rule book, and it is 10 minutes worth of pause time for each team, which was pretty much elapsed during the pause. So hopefully Naysayer does not, I guess for Elysium at the very least, hopefully Naysayer does not disconnect once again. But for now, we're doing all right. We're all here, all hanging out. And I mean, yeah, things are starting to get more difficult on the top lane too for Viva. And as we've kind of alluded to, it's not going to get any better in the 1v1 for the Scion.
No, but I mean, the CS lead in this bottom lane, 30 for Chaser and Ahop. I mean, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, definitely still a substantial CS gap. Those kills making up for a little bit of it. But you'd like to have both, I guess.
Action. Ahop got to burn the flash to get out. As Chaser and Nike are fighting on the bot side, Shyvana ultimate's coming in here as now Galio, Hero's entrance. Nike has to flash out to safety as the Pyroclasm's burning, but Duddy on the backside is going to take it down. Nintendo will utilize that flash there as, now let's see what else. Onset.
Oh,
taking this.
We're going to see Silas do the Shyvana ult.
Yeah, taking the Silas ulti here. Very exciting. As the dragon now started up.
I don't think they can contest the dragon.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So not going to be used at this moment at the very least. 2 dragons, early lead for Elysium is nice to be stacking those ones up, as it is going to be the second Chemtech soul of the series. Second time in 2 games here so far. But things will settle down for a bit. Despite those 2 kills early on for New Origins, it is about an 800 gold lead for the side of Elysium. So they're feeling all right, despite some of those early difficulties. But obviously, as we alluded to, it's that CS. Oh!
Okay, Dragon's Descent. Onset utilizing that ultimate onto Naysayer, but not going to get much. Just trying to push that wave in. Get the
He's
crash.
like invisible.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so he also gets Shyvana's abilities as well in Ultimate, it looks like.
Yep.
But not for long, as it expires.
I just took a peek at the gold here. And Chaser is still 400 gold up.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, so Chaser's still up in gold despite those kills. I mean, I think it's really one of those situations where, like, thank goodness that those kills did go over to Nike Dragon, because otherwise it would be even worse. And yeah, I mean, we're almost 13 minutes in. Teams have been pretty disciplined about the aggression that we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been a much more calm and collected game than game number 1.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where eventually, once we do see action, these team fights are just really going to explode, just because of the engage tools that we talked about in the draft that Elysium has at their disposal. We saw the first Galio ultimate did ultimately end up netting them a kill into the bottom lane. So it could be until this next dragon arrives before we see another true team fight around an objective. But Jin Zhao definitely hovering around this bottom lane right now. Wards being cleared out.
Oh, man. Oh, when becomes lightning. I feel like we've seen this before. I feel like this has happened already. As Ahop is in trouble, gonna get taken down. Nike on a killing spree.
Nike Dragon is the big beneficiary of this jungle attention into the bottom lane, but a nice job of in a Burby world, second game straight that he's been very dominant, at least so far, and doing a nice job of, selecting where these ganks need to happen. And on the other side, or as this teammate, Nintendo Forever, doing a nice job of controlling that vision. Ahop ended up walking up to try to get the vision back into the tri-brush, but that ultimately results in his demise. It's 1v1 between junglers.
Scuttlecrab secured by Duddy here. As now Viva's in the area. Here we go. All the ultimates coming in here. Onset goes down, or Onset takes out Duddy as, Viva now in trouble. 3v1 as Antioch finds the kill there. Onset and Inno Burby World into that top lane play, and a great play again for New Origins. But now Nike Dragon and Chaser finding each other here. The callback is not enough damage. Chaser lives 1 and finds the shutdown.
A big shutdown for Chaser to pick that one up. He has the static shift completed, and I think that the Senna, especially given that she's picking up the CS here, is going to be a big problem for New Origins later in this game. Is going to be pumping out a lot of damage. Also going to be cashing in that cull in not too long, so it's about 25 stacks, it looks like, left on that one. But
Crash down, gonna find Naysayer, stun, and the CC. Now Magnet Storm's gonna be used as well. Naysayer has to flash out, because that was a lot of damage, especially with that Ignite.
Yeah, topside, though, looking really strong here from New Origins. We saw that fight earlier also into the top lane that was going on while there was lots going on around the Rift. But Onset doing a nice job of taking away that Galio ultimate, and talked about how, these impactful ultimates for New Origins are good for Galio to be able to seal.
Chaser could be in trouble, gonna get stunned. Got the flash out of Nintendo though, so that's a key summoner spell here. Does have the Hex Flash, but at least you get a little more time, to react before the rail can get in on you.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm kind of have my eye on as far as Silas later on in this fight is when he eventually gets the opportunity to steal the Brand ultimate in team fights.
Yeah.
That is going to be really, really impactful, potentially. Ooh, as we got a fight
Nintendo might
out.
be in trouble here. Gonna get rooted up. And nice stun though, as now the whole team is here. Into the fights we go as the Dragons Descent come into the backline. Magnet Storm is pretty big, as now Silas takes one for himself. Trying to find the damage onto 3 in the back here, but the Hero's Entrance is going to find knockups onto 1. Antioch is in the building as well. Shooting needles, showing him how it's done. Chaser, the last member standing, will fall as well here. And it's a 4-for-1 in favor of New Origins. They're spawning this Rift Herald, and they started up the Dragon.
Yeah, huge fight for New Origins. They lose their support, but they kill 4 members on the other side. Rift Herald getting to crash into this bot lane. They won't be able to pick up the first turret, as Scion is able to come mid and pick that first turret bonus up for Elysium. They might gonna have to use his ultimate to get out of there. But he will be safe. But yeah, I mean, again, huge injection of gold into the bottom lane here with Nike Dragon picking that one up. And really impressive team play, I would say, overall here from the side of New Origins in this game. Silas using that Shyvana ultimate to get onto the back line. was very successful for them. And I mean, it's definitely still a close game, but New Origins, they look like they've got a chance. They've got a big chance in this one to close this series out if they can continue to perform in those team fights like they did there. 3,000 gold almost lead for them built up about 18 minutes into this one.
Yeah, and they're sitting at about a 2.5k goal lead now. Uh-oh, Onset could be in trouble here. Takes the Pyroclasm and does a lot of damage back, but one more auto should be enough, and a shutdown onto Chaser, as now Nike Dragon stunned up, crash down, doesn't find anyone, but In a Burby World is on the way. Duddy Brains is also here. We got a 3v3, we got a 4v3 now as Naysayer joins the party. Duddy goes in, sorry, Onset goes, I don't know, that was crazy. He just went in 1v4.
I guess I cursed them by saying that this looked good for them, but that was, yeah, that was not, they were just kind of going in one at a time there. Onset trying to land the chains in initially. I thought he was blessed for them to miss, but then still getting rooted up by the Senna, and yeah, from there we don't really talk about what happened next. So that's going to open up the map a lot here for Elysium, who will be able to clear out this bottom lane turret. You know, Gwen was able to match it over on the top side, so that's something, at least, but that erases the gold lead that New Origins had built up. It's now even, basically, here in gold, as, you know, as we get close to eclipsing the 20-minute mark here. They got to be a lot more clean than that for New Origins if they're going to be able to win this. I think that, you know, In a Burby World was just mixed up. Thought it was still game one where he was still like the 7-0 Nefiri, but, you know, it's not anymore. He's playing the Xinjiao, and he's not that strong, but we can clean it up from here. Only gets better than that for New Origins.
Yeah, and opted to go for the Death Stance Sundered Sky Jinzhao build. So that's interesting here. I think Ahop might be in trouble. Wind becomes lightning, doesn't hit, but the crash down finds Naysayer. Let's see if they have the damage here. It's a 3v3 in the mid lane. Teleport coming in from Viva as the Dragon's Descent goes down. Nintendo dude is in trouble. He has to run for the hills here. As In a Burby World will use the Crescent Guard to try and get out of there. Now we go on to Ahop, but the hero's entrance comes in. Ahop lives at 1 HP and doesn't go down. A double kill for Duddy. Onset now. I don't think you want to go in on this. This does not look good. 2v5. As Antioch's still pushing relentlessly in that top lane on the tier 2. Looks like Elysium thought about Baron, maybe changing their mind, and then changing their mind again. Starting it up.
Yeah, we saw how easily this Baron can go down in that first game, but there are going to be multiple members from New Origins who are able to respond.
Oh, Dragon's Descent comes in huge onto Duddy! Duddy's 1 HP and will go down. Onset with a nice play in as now Nike Dragon flashing forward. Chance starts to flash up to safety as a Featherstorm will be used. That's a big knockup from Viva as the rest of the reinforcements are here. Nintendo going into the backline trying to find Chaser, finds the shutdown as Naysayer goes down. Magnustorm's going to find Ahop as well here as Viva now the last member in between 5 of New Origins. And this looks like they might be able to just turn for Baron. In a Burby World is here now as the flip back comes, stun comes, as now Nintendo might be overextended, just chase a little too far and goes down. Chaser able to punish on the overchase.
Yeah, they needed to turn onto the Baron right away. I don't think this is a good idea.
Onset looking for something here. Gonna go for it as he gets a heal. Viva's pretty low on mana, but Duddy Brains is back on the map, so for the time being, the gold lead extends back to 1,000 for New Origins.
Yeah, but I think that Chaser must have heard that Rage Bait redeemed, because has definitely been improved in this one. You could see the amount of damage he was pumping out on the Senna. That's going to need to be a priority for New Origins if they're going to win these team fights, is getting onto that Senna in the back line. But we can also see the power of Onset on the Silas mid, now sitting at 5-1. The Shyvana ultimate proving to be a super, super powerful one for him to steal. Dragon up now, though, and both teams, neither team looks like they want to give this one up.
Chaser has no flash. It's going to be the key summoner spell. 3k on the Dragon is in. We go! Crescent Guard is going to find a lot, but Antioch's over the back line. Eho is in trouble. Now the Galio ulti coming in, finds the knockups onto 2, and Naysayers gets canceled. Onset is good here as Duddy Brain's going on the rampage. Antioch goes down, and it's still a 4v4, but it's looking good for Elysium now as the rest of New Origins has to run for the hills. A double kill for Chaser. Nike running as well, but it is not, it's all for nothing. Naysayer finds the last hit there, and Elysium with a huge teamfight win, 4 and a dragon for 1.
Yeah, I mean, in that entire time, Chaser was sitting completely untouched on the back line, which again is going to be a huge problem for New Origins if they cannot start the fights onto this Senna. She is just going to continuously rain down damage onto them. And for Elysium, they are going to turn back onto the Baron, and I don't think it's going to be contested this time because New Origins just doesn't have enough members to make that happen. Also not really able to take anything else on the map. And with that, Elysium takes a 1,000 gold lead, and it's going to be hard to pry that out of their hands from here if they can continue to team fight as effectively as they did in that last fight.
Definitely here. Elysium turning it around, feeling real good. Their lead is, you know, back to 2K, so about a 3,000 gold swing there for Elysium. And yeah, like you mentioned, you know, Chaser just being able to hit freely on the Senna right now has 77 stacks of that passive, so an extra 60 AD, along with you know, the other stats that you get, 60 range and 30% crit strike. So Chaser's feeling real nice, and you know, it was key in that fight. Chaser didn't have flash, and New Origins still couldn't get onto him. Antioch had a nice angle, went onto Ahop, but couldn't even kill. So maybe just a little bit of a misplay there.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that that's a misplay if you're New Origins, because, I don't know, I think at this point they're going to have to either find some kind of flank, ideally, I would say, to get behind Chaser, or potentially if Galio is, or rather if Silas is using the Galio ultimate, that's maybe another way for them to get onto that back line. But it's going to be all about that initial engage, being able to catch the Senna, because her range just gets more and more oppressive as the game goes on. She's able to outrange the Xayah very, very heavily already by this point in the game. And so that is a big concern. The other storyline here for me is this Gwen. If they can possibly set up some split push, you know, situations where she can have some pressure on the map, that's great. But for now, has still been pretty locked down in the 1v1 by Viva on the Scion here, who's, you know, I mean, I'm sure in the extended 1v1 Scion would not do well, as I guess we might see here, but it just takes too long for Viva to be able to, or for Antioch to get anything done before the team fight is broken out on the other part of the map.
Oh, here we go. As Ruby now going in. Do they find Ahop? Looks like they might have found Ahop here as Naysayer trying to buy time. Nike Dragon is taken pretty low as Ahop goes down. Onset's on killing spree. Now the teleport coming in from Viva. We'll see if Antioch can do anything on the side. Trying to fight Duddy Brains with the Dawning Shadow is going to force the Onset to flash, but it is not enough. Chaser goes unstoppable here, and 2 members down for New Origins, but they want more. Elysium going forward onto Antioch. Duddy Brands with the Dragon's Descent is going to be enough to take down the Gwen, as now in a Burby world, and Nike Dragon, the 2-man taunt from Naysayer. That should be enough here as Nike flashing out, but it is the only a man left standing. 4 members strong for Elysium in the base, and they're going to look to end this game.
And Chaser still sitting untouched on the back line in that last fight. The 80 carry from Elysium with a huge comeback game, as it looks like they should be able to finish this one out right now. Probably.
Nexus is open here. Can Nike and do anything? No, they cannot. And Elysium flips this game on its head and forces a game 3.
And it's the kind of what we felt was inevitable here. We're going into the game number 3 for all the marbles. Elysium. I mean, this game was a very close game. Actually, early on, New Origins finding a lot of advantages for themselves, or I guess kind of in those mid-game team fights. But eventually, it kind of just felt like they got outscaled by the enemy team composition, and Chaser in particular on the Senna going absolutely crazy down the stretch, and nothing that they could do to control him. They're going to have to find a way to slow down the Elysium AD carry here if they're going to win game number 3.
Big games there from Chaser and Duddy. Elysium looking strong, able to turn that game around. New Origins did have the lead early, but just a couple misplays and miscues on the team fights was all that Elysium needed to turn the tides.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that is part of the difference between teams that are able to be more consistently successful in these leagues. Is it's one thing when you're early on, it's just about kind of those laning phase as well as some of those early jungle ganks. But once we get into those more complex team fights, the teams that have a little bit more experience, just a little bit more skill as far as the organized play side of things, tend to come out on top, and that's what we saw from Elysium in this game too.
We are going to throw it to a short break, but we will be back to the pick and the ban of game number 3, the decider between New Origins and Elysium. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, everybody, and we are back for draft of game number 3, which has started out rapidly here. And by we, I mean me, myself, and I, as Ride Chains will be back in just a moment. But we wanted to make sure that we did not miss a moment of the draft for you all as the band's starting to come through. We see a lot of familiar faces from the first couple of games. One change that's notable here going into game 3 is that we do have New Origins switching sides, going over to the red side, so they will ultimately have that last counter pick as Ride Chains is back to join us as we are live, just so you know, Ride Chains, because the draft started really, really fast, but you're here to announce the first pick, so you're right on time.
All right, yeah, I guess so here. And right on cue, we get a Smolder first pick for Elysium. They couldn't even let me go get water. What's up with that?
Yeah, they're just ripping and running here. Both these teams, I mean, I think just based on the intensity, obviously, of those first 2 games, they really want to have the chance to get back onto the Rift here for the third one. But Smolder picked up here. Very, very strong champion. Surprised that it has not been touched, honestly, at all until this third game. But on the other side, we got Kaisa. We got some interesting AD carry picks coming out in this series. Kaisa, another one of them here, who has a lot of different sort of build options. Definitely can go for some of that hybrid damage, which is exciting to see, and can be really, really powerful, kind of hyper carry later in the game. Often has a little bit more agency than maybe something like the Zaya had, because it felt like by the end of that there wasn't really much that Nike Dragon could do. But I guess it might feel like that again if Smolder gets fed and gets far enough into the game here, because he annoying.
Okay, so they didn't get the ban. I mean, sorry, they didn't get the pick, but that second pick for New Origins is going to be the Poppy, and there we go. Thank you, Golden, for getting. If that was you, it might not have been you, but thank you anyway.
All right.
Yeah, Poppy's not I feel like that champion is not one we see too often nowadays.
Yeah, not necessarily. We have seen it in the top lane, I believe, in the first week. Not from either of these teams in particular, but that is something that we have seen in the past. Now, remember last week on the stream, we did see Chaser picking up this Smolder in the second game, and things went extremely well for them. So they're going to follow it up with the Swain and the Maokai. Personally, I think Swain is a super underrated champion. Very, very powerful, and very, very difficult to kill, despite the fact that he does a decent amount of damage later in the game. So excited to see if that is going to the mid lane or the support role. It's pretty strong in either of those. I actually think it's particularly strong in support. But maybe they think that maybe New Origins could think that it's mid lane because they are going to pick the Rise. Otherwise, it's a blind Rise pick here for onset.
And we got a lot of scaling champions in this game already, right? You have the Rise coming in, you have the Smolder, the Swain is going to scale really well as well. Scale really well as well. So, you can see these teams kind of going for those late game scaling champions. In game 2, we saw a little bit more of a controlled early game than we saw in game 1. So, I would imagine that might be what we're looking at, coming into game 3 here, as with the second stage of bans. We got the Ornn taken away and the Nautilus. But standard team comps coming back in here, and a lot of power picks right now.
Yeah, so far what I really like Elysium's team composition. It allows them to control space. That's the two things that Swain and Maokai do really, really well, is being able to buy large amounts of space for this Smolder, who obviously will want to sit pretty far back from the rest of the team and just be able to rain down fire onto the, for now, relatively short range composition from New Origins, both Kaisa and Rise, very short range. But the other thing with the Poppy that you always have to take into account is Poppy ults can be one of the most impactful abilities in the game. And with Rakan locked in for the support, that means that we know Poppy isn't going to be down in the bot lane. Still could be either jungle or top lane, although I assume that it's going to be top lane. Haven't seen a ton of Poppy jungle recently, but you never know. We've certainly seen stranger picks in this series so far.
Final 2 bans here, the Camille and the Nico taken away. And Kaisa Rakan is one of those bottom lanes that has notoriously works well together. They both have the IG skins. And an interesting Bard is this pick support for Ahop here. I don't know. Me personally, I feel like anytime I see this champion, it's useless. But maybe Ahop can change my mind.
I mean, I think the ultimate can be super impactful if you use it right, but it's one of those abilities that has the potential to really hurt your team, as well as potentially help. But yeah, as I think that we will see a jungler here last pick, although maybe not. I guess Cho'Gath is going to be the top lane selection for Viva. So they could pick something into that, but again, I expect that it's probably going to be that Poppy top lane. Poppy will have a decent matchup into the Cho'Gath, and Graves coming in the jungle. Not a pick that we've necessarily seen a massive amount of. But for New Origins, I'm a little bit concerned about the range of this team composition right now because they're very, very short range. Um, maybe I'll be wrong, but
Yeah.
they're going to have to find ways to get onto that smolder because that was their big, big issue in the last game is not being able to find Chaser on the back line. They'll have to figure out a way to do it here.
They are pretty short range, but they do have some engage opportunities, right? With the
Sure.
Rakan, with the realm warp from Rise, and then Poppy can also, dive in and kind of cause some chaos in the backline. So it'll be interesting to see what New Origins can actually do in this game. And Graves is a champ that if he gets ahead early, he can really power and snowball. So
Yeah.
although my one concern is that Onset on the Rise is not going to be too much help in the early 2v2.
Yeah, certainly not. No, which is something that's been really important, right? In the first couple of games, we saw a lot of gank assistance coming down into the bot lane, and especially before Rakan gets level 6. Other than his W, he doesn't have the ability to to create quite as much CC and time for the carries to get the damage down for New Origin. So I think I definitely like the team comp here from Elysium coming out of this draft, but it's all about how you execute the team comp. That's the important thing. That's what we'll be looking for once we get onto Summoner's Rift.
Yep, and another thing, just a lot of we talked about this a little earlier in the draft, but a lot of space is going to be able to be made for this Smolder. You got two beefy boys in the front line in the Maokai and the Cho'Gath. Swain is also going to be scale up to be that strong powerhouse and be able to absorb a lot of damage. So I think Chaser has a really good opportunity in this game to kind of take over. So we'll have to see how he does.
Yeah, I mean, he did a nice job of it in game number 2, even though there was some hiccups early on. He did get ganked successfully a couple of times, but was still able to just have a really strong early lead. I mean, that's the other thing that I think I'll be looking at here is whether or not the bot lane from Elysium can create the early lead that they've been able to amass in both of the first 2 games. Because in the first game, it didn't end up becoming consequential, but it did seem to be a big piece of their ability to stick in the game in game number 2. So with a lane that's maybe not quite as strong, Smolder early on, not particularly strong, and Bard really dependent on being able to be creative and hit those cues, also tunnel your jungler in. That's going to be very important. I think that the Maokai, I mean, it's certainly a really strong pick just fundamentally in the jungle, but not something that we've seen quite as much of because it doesn't necessarily scale or get particularly powerful himself, but it's just going to be about, like we said, creating space in the team fights and then also locking down those individual targets on New Origins and, Kaisa and Graves coming to mind specifically with that. So excited to see what the Maokai can do as far as early gank angles, particularly in combination with the Bard tunnel.
So this is interesting. Uh, they we actually have Graves picked in the top lane and Poppy picked in the jungle right
Oh,
now for New
all right.
Origins.
I mean, I kind of like that a little bit better, to be honest. So,
Hey, that's
I mean,
interesting. I mean,
if they
not what we
can pull it
expected,
off,
but
I like that. I mean, because we were criticizing the kind of gank pressure that Graves might have, especially into something like this bot lane. Now, with the Poppy instead, definitely have quite a bit more gank pressure early on to compete with the Maokai. One interaction that I'm not exactly sure about is whether the flap 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 from the Smolder gets blocked by the Poppy W or not. But hopefully that's something that we will see in this game. We can figure it out
yep.
together and learn.
I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to here. We are going to take a short break for the competitive integrity spectator delay, but we'll be on to the rift shortly for the deciding game number 3 between Elysian and New Origins. Don't go anywhere. You do not want to miss it. And we are on to the rift for game number 3 between Elysium and New Origins here. For Elysium in the top lane, Viva on the Cho'Gath, Duddy Brands on Maokai in the jungle, Naysayer on Swain in the mid lane, and Chaser and Ahop rounding it out with the Smolder and the Bard.
And on the red side, we've got new origins with Antioch taking the Graves into the top lane. We've got in a Burby world in the jungle on Poppy, Onset in the mid lane on Rise. And then in the bot lane, we got Nike Dragon and Nintendo Forever with the Kaisa and Rakan duo.
Onset
teams-
on Rise is crazy. I was
True.
confused. I was like, I didn't know. I forgot there was a set in this game.
Oh, true. That's what if it was
I was
Onset
doing that
on
the whole
set?
time. I didn't even realize.
Onset on set would be really, that would be truly crazy.
That'd be cinema.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really more of the same here so far, as we're seeing the new Origins bot lane just being completely zoned off of this first wave. Kaisa obviously very short range early on, so even though Chasers, also is not, an early game AD carry by any stretch of the imagination, does, I guess, have a little bit of that range advantage early, along with the Bard to be able to zone him off. And I guess an interesting start here with the items for Chaser is he does go for the helm first, not going for an attack item. He don't need it.
No need. Nice hook lands there from Naysayer, and yeah, I think we're gonna get a relatively calm early game here. Both of these junglers now working their way onto this bottom side here as Antioch and Viva scrapping. You can see, you mentioned the power of the Graves top into the Cho'Gath and how it should enjoy itself pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we can see early game, definitely able to poke him out. Should be able to use that E to jump away from the rupture from Cho'Gath. But yeah, I mean, both of these junglers, they are theoretically jungling towards this bottom half of the map. So could we see an early Poppy gank? It's definitely a possibility once she completes the blue buff here, or maybe even a fight over the Scuttle Crab. Both of those would be pretty exciting early on here from two junglers that don't typically like to 1v1 each other, and there will be some conflict here.
Yeah, and early push here is in favor of Elysium on this bottom lane, which means in a Barbie world has to just give the crab, but finds Naysayer here, has to burn the flash to get out, and Naysayer kind of just caught in an unfortunate position.
Yeah, nice, very efficient play there from in a Burby world, who's making his way over to that top lane scuttle either way, and might as well blow the opposing mid laner's flash while he's making his way over there, and is able to do so here. So that's definitely a repeat gank possibility for in a Burby world. Onset obviously will be able to use that rune prison to lock down Naysayer pretty freely, so that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on as we get further into this one.
2v2 in this top lane here, and I think they just want to maybe get a push. No, I guess just showing both junglers showing their face up there.
Yeah, Maokai does start by building a little bit of AP, so we thought maybe we might see kind of a tank build, although I'm not really sure what the optimal build right now on Maokai jungle is, but he is going to start with a little bit of that AP burn damage here. I mean, which I guess does make sense, because while Swain is a damage champion...
Oh, ooh. Flash is traded here, Nintendo and Chaser. I had a feeling that, when Chaser walked up there, it looked a little scary. So I figured might have to burn that flash, but no harm, no foul. Just a summoner spell burned here, and now Ahab finds a stun onto Nike and does a little bit of damage back.
Yeah, about a 9 CCS lead-ish, maybe a little bit less than that, built up early game here already for Elysium's bot lane, so not nearly as bad as we saw in that second game, or really in the first game even early on, but we still do see that advantage, and Nintendo got to be careful because he ran out of mana, so not able to dash back there, but will be okay for now. Just trying to continue to stack that lead that they have, though, so far in the bot lane for Elysium. And both junglers, they are both in the area now, having completed another full clear. Seems like we've seen this before.
Yeah, I've seen this game before. Nothing, I think, will account for it, though. Both of these bot lanes want him back. Because
Yeah, Rise
they
does have
haven't
level
spent.
6 though, so he definitely was looking just in case they needed him to get into the fight, would have been able to use the Realm Warp to do so, but like you said, nothing ends up materializing here. 6 minutes in, first dragon is the Cloud Dragon, and that one is just sitting there so far, mostly because both of those junglers have been in pretty much the same place at the same time. As they have been clearing the same direction here, completely tied, basically 1 CS lead at this point for Duddy Brains, which must have been erroneously picked up somewhere.
Ooh, okay, wait a minute. Onset could be in trouble here as Duddy is in the building. Gonna use the Twisted Advances to Realm Warp. Gonna be enough to get him out? No! It is not, as Aha picks up the last hit there and first blood.
Yeah, first blood. Not necessarily who you would want it to go to for AHOP, but a nice job of the support and jungler both converging there. Onset trying to use that Realm Warp to get out of there, but not able to find any way to do so. So the early gold lead with that does go over to Elysium in combination with some of their CS leads in the mid lane and the bot lane. So, nice job for them getting an early start here. That dragon still sitting up. Nobody wanting to take that one down quite yet, as the wave will crash into the bot lane. Yeah.
About an 800, 700 gold lead now in favor of Elysium here. This is, the first time that these junglers haven't been kind of mirroring each other here, as, Duddy went for that kill early to put him a little bit behind on the clear, but Burby down in this bottom lane, they have ultimates on everyone, but the bottom lane for Elysium just a bit too far back, able to sniff that play out and not get caught, but I think now in a Burby world is going to start up this dragon.
Yeah, they do now finally have...
Or top, I mean. Rupture lands in the silence, but even not yet enough there, but maybe now. Okay, there you go. Burns the flash out of Antioch. That feast is it's dangerous, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. You can see how afraid Antioch is of getting executed by that. Ooh.
Okay, Dragon goes down here with the Twisted Advance. Goes in and Duddy Brains finds a kill onto Burbius. Now, Nike Dragon using the Killer Instinct to try and run, flashes away from the Tempered Fate, and will be alive for the time being, but Naysayer is also in this bottom side. We'll see if they try to dive. They have the wave coming soon here, as Nike realizes might be in trouble here. Demonic Ascension comes through, and Nike is definitely in trouble. Who are they going to give the kill to? It's going to be Naysayer, as now Elysium leads this game 3-0.
Yeah, nice moves around this map from Elysium, even though they do give up that first dragon. Great play by Duddy Brains there to be able to dodge out on the Poppy ultimate by using the Twisted Advance. Excellent timing there, obviously knowing the interaction between those abilities. And in a Burby world is going to come right back out onto the map to try to trade something back with the Grubs. It looks like they will be able to do that. But the early lead, it is almost a 2,000 gold lead early on here for Elysium, partially on the back of those kills. And you can see how already this Swain in the mid lane does have that Rod of Ages completed, so that one can start to stack up as early as possible, and will start to, have quite a bit of damage here in these early team fights for Elysium.
Definitely. The people, I guess key is that Chaser doesn't have any kills yet, but in terms of stacking, Chaser is feeling okay. 67 stacks at 10 minutes. It's a decent pace.
Yeah, and I mean, just hasn't been really challenged so far, which, I think you're okay not having any kills early on for Chaser, as long as you're just able to sit there, get as many stacks as you're able to pick up, and also pick up your farm, which he's done an excellent job of so far in really this entire series. Fundamentals, very sound there. Yeah, and I mean, 2 minutes and 49 seconds here until the next dragon does spawn. That'll be the next objective coming up on the map.
It is
And
a
I mean,
chem
I
tech.
don't. Yeah, I'm
No
interested
Chemtech
to
skull.
see if there's a break point here where this Graves can really start to pressure the Cho'Gath. Because we've seen, yeah, he can clear out the waves pretty well. He had a decent amount of pressure very early on in this lane, but since then, you've seen the trading actually go pretty even. And I don't know.
Trying to dive under the tower here. Demonic Ascension is going to buy some time as Duddy Brains is here. Wait, look at this play in the bottom side here as the quickness is going to find one. Tempered Fate puts Nike Dragon into the gold stasis, but still no further aggression here and no casualties across the map again as Innerverby World has now made their way into the bottom lane. And yeah.
Yeah, maybe it seemed like maybe they were trying to create some kind of chaotic fight so that and buy enough time for Innerverby World to be able to get there, but that did not happen. And I mean, we saw the story of Game 2 being Chaser in the backline, not being able to be caught by the members of New Origins. So if we see that repeat again, they're going to be in a rough spot. It's actually Graves.
He was in
Pretty
trouble
good
here.
setup here.
Has the Essence River completed now. Rupture's going to land.
Oh.
And the collateral damage is not enough. Viva lives. Does have to burn that flash to get out, though. Turning back.
Oh.
But he's able to get out.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to back
Right?
there. Yeah. Yeah,
He's in the area.
I assume that Duddy would not want to take this 1v1, but definitely not going to let him take the blue buff either.
Does have Innerverby World here as the Nature's Grasp going to find the roots onto 2. And just Innerverby World just destroys Duddy Brains. Duddy Brains goes down. And that Poppy ultimate is going to send Viva back to the tower. So yeah, just a free kill coming through for New Origins there.
Yeah, you do definitely wish that it went to the Graves, but they'll take the kill either way.
Ooh. Stun lands in the mid lane onto Onset, but not too much damage between the Swain and the Bard just yet.
Yeah, not yet. Swain definitely needs to stack up that rod a little bit more, get some more damage items as well before he's able to completely one-shot or, to get rid of that rise in a reasonable amount of time. As we can see that this CS lead also in the bot lane has continued to accelerate as we've seen happen throughout this series. It is a 20 CS advantage here, 13.5 minutes in for the side of Chaser, who has picked up his first item. Also stacking up that cull, pretty close to that one. But as the dragon is spawned up, it looks like Elysium has pretty firm control over this bottom half river.
Yeah, numbers advantage for them in this bottom side, so this dragon should be relatively easy take there, even up the dragon count. And we do get an Infernal Soul here. So the Inferno blazes on the rift, and we'll be getting some cinders strewn around the map. Viva and Antioch still battling it out up here, but Innerverby World gonna look for this dive, I think. Oh no, just gonna take away some camps.
Yeah, it would be I think it would be a tough dive with the amount of health that Cho'Gath has built up at this point, but the junglers should run into each other in a moment.
Battling in the mid lane. Hook's not gonna, or the claw's not gonna land on Naysayer, but he has to be careful here. He does see that both of the junglers are above him, and Antioch's gonna pick up that blue for himself. Right now they do have the numbers if they want to go for it in that top play, because Onset has to kind of run for the hills here.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a 2v2 about to break out in this top lane as well.
Here we go as the Nature's Grasp finds the route onto 2. Viva has, Feast is not yet available as Antioch and Innerverby World are pretty low. Duddy looking to go forward, but not going to go too far yet. And still, no casualties.
Yeah, lots of movement around the map from these champions, but not actually resulting in a huge amount of kills so far. As Antioch, he's going to take multiple turret shots. He's got to be careful now.
Oh, no mana though.
Yeah, you're right.
Duddy on the wrap. Duddy on the wrap around. Let's see if he has the damage to kill Antioch here. Oh my gosh, yes, he does.
Yeah,
Now
he
has
went
that
for the
Leandris completed,
Leandris.
yeah.
Yep, exactly. And he's got the Dark Seal. That's going to help him get some stacks on that one. But yeah, but thanks to the AP, Maokai will be able to punish the Graves, who was able to take down the first turret of the game. So that's some nice gold going into his pocket. But, you know, definitely would have liked to be able to survive there. And so 16 minutes in, it's about a little over a 1k gold lead for Elysium, so certainly still a close game. We're also, you know, so far all we've seen Kai'Sa do is farm, but Kai'Sa is one of those champions that does, I mean, she's the AD carry, so of course she's going to be really dangerous in the team fights if she has enough time.
Oh no! Chaser gets caught here. Tempered Fate's going to buy some time, but I don't know if Chaser can get out. Flashing over the wall will go down though as Nike picks up the last hit there. Nike under the tower trying to find Ahop and Will, but the tower should be enough to take him down. And now Viva teleported down here in this 1v3. Duddy is on the way, as Viva does still have the feast. So one of these health bars can disappear very quickly. Duddy now going to use that Nature's Grasp. Let's see who it hits. Antioch is the target. Going to get rooted up. The Rupture comes in. And the feast! Viva's eaten.
Yeah, you'd like to continue, but now they're just gonna walk away.
No more. Plays dumb.
Yeah, Cho'Gath now picking up his second kill of the game, and even though Graves has been able to pressure the map with the pushing, you know, with his ability to push the waves, is sitting at 0-2 in comparison to his lane mate in the Cho'Gath. Be our lane opponent, I guess. They're not really mates since they're against each other. Is at 2-0. Now we are closer to a 2,000 gold lead here from Elysium, 1 minute away from that Infernal Dragon. Both teams really would like to stack this up because we've got a very powerful soul, as you mentioned before, with that Infernal Soul eventually becoming available for these teams. Also very thematically on point for Chaser, if they were able to pick up that Infernal Soul. Feels good. So they're still both teams very far away from that at this point, since we split the first two dragons 1-1, but that's something that we'll keep an eye on as the game goes on. This Kai'Sa still trying to getting both of those kills, you know, did end up going down, but that is really important for this Kai'Sa to get those 2 kills early on. I think my question is whether Kai'Sa will be able to get enough damage down in range of some of these champions that Elysium has, because if you're sitting in that Swain ultimate circle or anywhere near the Cho'Gath, it's going to be a rough time for the Kai'Sa. So excited to see how Nike Dragon could play out these team fights as the game progresses. And a nice job here from Elysium of controlling all of the vision and space in this bottom side river as the dragon has spawned here. Looks like they should just have the open path to pick this one up. I don't expect any contest from Elysium.
Yeah, with Nintendo going up into the top lane, I don't think there's going to be any contest here. Second dragon for Elysium picked up there. Feeling pretty good about that one. 1.6k gold lead, and for the time being, you know, we got 30 seconds on Baron, but I don't think that one's going to be on the table anytime soon here. You know, Nike picking up the Kraken Slayer to start off. The Kraken Slayer plus pickaxe, I think it's enough to evolve Q. Actually, no, it's not. Tempered Fate's not going to land. Nintendo over the wall gets out to safety as well, but Onset did have to use the Ghost. So Summoner Spell did get burned there at some point. These top laners still scrapping. Viva does have the Heartsteel now, so these extended trades are going to be a little nicer for him. But with that stacking HP.
Yeah, the trades are pretty close still at this point, honestly. A lot closer than you'd like them to be if you're Graves. Naysayer in the 1v2.
Early numbers are going to be here from Elysium, as in a Barbie World and Ahop meet. Nintendo has joined the party now, 3v3 in this top lane, but I don't think there's going to be anything else coming here Nike is on the way. And Chaser's also here, but 4 members strong in this top lane. Both of the top laners are just battling it out on the bot side. Just farming.
Just chilling it out. Yeah, I mean, you can tell. I mean, I think here in the game 3, neither team wants to make the big mistake. And you can pretty much tell that here.
TP's coming in. Naysayer. Ahab aggressed pretty far forward there. Almost got picked off, but not enough damage yet. Not enough damage yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been the story of this top lane for the last couple of games that Viva is able to pick this tank and be able to stay in, hang in there well enough that there's not very much consequence for Elysium in the kind of, early to mid game parts of the game. And then later on, once we got into the team fights, we could see how impactful last game that Scion was. This time, similar things will probably happen with the Cho'Gath, whereas Graves in the team fight, unless he's the one killing everybody, not going to be making nearly as big of an impact. So nice job so far from the top lane player from Elysium to be able to survive through these lanes that he theoretically should not be winning. But, down 6 CS, up a couple of kills, definitely feeling happy right now if you are Cho'Gath in this matchup. And really, both of these solo laners from Elysium have been doing a great job staying safe so far in this game. And later on, we talked all about how controlling the space for Chaser to be able to go wild is going to be so important, and they have set themselves up to do that later on. Assuming that Chaser doesn't get caught out, which in a Burby world is really trying to make happen here.
And speaking of Chaser, sitting at about 200 stacks right now on the Smolder as we approach the 23-minute mark. Engage coming in here as now Nintendo is caught out, flashing over the wall, but doesn't get over. Fail flashes as now the Tempered Fate. Wait, he got out. Nintendo got out somehow as Nike Dragon now. Killer Instinct over the wall, trying to find the damage, but Duddy is here. Ahab flashing to try and find the stun, but just misses. And Antioch now aggressing forward. Chaser finds a kill onto Nike Dragon. We'll see here. 1-for-1 so far. Support for AD carry as Viva fighting Onset on the side. Rupture's going to land onto Antioch as Nintendo is very low still. Viva does have the feast available, flashing forward, and will find the killing spree on to Antioch here. 1 kill positive now for Elysium as they do win that team fight.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the whole time Chaser is sitting in the back line, not really having to worry about much of anything. So my question is, what can New Origins do to change that? They killed him one time in more of like a gank setup, but once it gets to these team fights and they've got all of the members available to kind of peel back for Chaser, it gets so much more difficult. So whether it's some kind of, I mean, it really just has to be a poppy flank pretty much, like bar some kind of bizarre realm warp flank into the backline, which is usually not how you use that ability effectively from Rise. It's going to be on in a Burby world to try to do something to get on to Chaser, because Nike Dragon is not going to be able to just walk up and auto attack this Smolder at any point in the game and live.
Fighting around this jungle side here as Burby goes in, gonna get stunned up. Onset's on the flank here, but Chaser is active. He has reached that 3rd, level of the Q. Has the full stacks and now has the Elder Dragon execute. So feeling really strong on this Smolder, and the Dragon has spawned. And Elysium wants to take their 3rd Dragon of the game here, put themselves on soul point as we approach the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, I know I just keep harping on it, but I really think that this lack of engage is really going to come back to haunt New Origins, especially when you ended up picking Graves in the top lane, because, he hasn't really been able to make a huge difference with this counter pick. that he was able to select and does not provide the engage that they need in these team fights. So it's just a little bit of a team composition diff, I think, right now for Elysium. They're going to have to be really creative with the way that they approach these team fights and approach vision control on the map, especially since they're losing control of the map here. As this game has continued to progress on, more and more turrets falling around the map for New Origins. They have to find a will and a way to get onto the back line in these team comps or team fights, or just kind of try to play without team fighting, which is not really possible in the game, but try to find a way to run their opponents around the map and take some objectives. But it's been multiple dragons in a row now for Elysium. And remember that Baron is on the map. We have seen teams be pretty aggressive about starting that one off in this series.
Ooh, in a Burby world.
In a tough spot.
Antioch is here, 3 members strong for Elysium now, as the Nature's Grasp is going to find the route onto both. Looking like they want to turn onto Antioch. Chaser has joined the party, and this is where all the damage comes in here, as the shutdown goes over to Antioch on Duddy, but going to trade 1 kill back. 1 for 1 so far. Top laner for jungler. But the rest of Elysium has grouped up, and they're feeling strong here. They want to take this tier 1 in the top lane.
Yeah, should just be able to put more gold in their pocket. New Origins are in the mid lane trying to trade the turret back, but yeah, I mean, I guess it could have been worse. Nice job by Antioch of being able to at least pick up the 1 kill in reply here. Not going to make a massive difference in the gold, the overall team-wide gold difference in this game at this point. But you can see this Cho'Gath is getting really big.
Nevermore lands onto Onset, but Nike's actually doing a good bit of damage here onto Viva. Ahop has now joined the party. Sun's going to land onto Nintendo. Going in, Grand Entrance finds nobody, but the charm hits 1, and oh, Chaser just does so much damage. Realmorph gets Onset out, but not in time for Nike, and a double kill for Chaser. I think this means Elysium might turn their sights onto this Baron here. Viva does have the TP, and it looks like they're going to start it up.
Yeah, they are going to start up Baron. There is a ward on it, so they're going to be fully aware for Elysium that this is happening, but there's just nothing that they can do. They do not have their jungler even in the remote area, or in the area whatsoever here. They don't have their AD carry or really their only major engage with the Rakan. And so without that, they do have to give it up. They're able to probably trade this turret for it in the bot lane. The gold lead now is about 3,500, and I just think it goes a little bit beyond the gold lead. It's the momentum of this game, but also even just the momentum of this series. It's really just gone downhill for New Origins. They win the first game. They have a great start out to the second game, but then end up falling behind and losing. And from there, it is, it has not looked particularly promising for New Origins.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about the momentum here. Right now, Elysium has all the momentum. They're feeling strong in this game. They got the Baron. They've won a couple team fights in a row. And really just able to kind of flip the scripts of this series. Right now, they're pushing down mid. Going to take that tier 2 tower. And the inhibitors are under siege here. Nature's Grasp use. I don't think it's mostly just a zoning tool right now. Look at Viva. Just does not care. Walking into 4 members. Maybe a bit over-aggressive, though. As taking pretty low. Has to burn the flash. As Mom is called. Oh, in a Burby world with the engage here. But taking really low. 1 HP. As look at Naysayer in the back line. Running rampant. Demonic Ascension is huge. Realm Warp is not going to be enough. And another 2 more kills coming through for Elysium. Nike, the last member standing. Just going to have to watch his base fall. As Elysium onto the Nexus Towers.
Yeah, I don't think that there's...
Gosh,
I don't know if there's anything that can be done here for New Origins. Elysium owned this game really from start to finish. Just, I think, draft diff for the most part here. And they'll finish out this series 2-1.
Chaser adds a kill right before the Nexus explodes, but Elysium take the series in 2-1 fashion. And honestly, that game 3 was just commanding. There was never really a chance.
Yeah, no, it really goes to show why they felt so confident, to be able to have the draft that they had in game 1, because they knew that they would be able to come together like they did in that third game. So just very, very dominant performance down the stretch there for Elysium, and congratulations to them on a good second half of the series.
We are not going to have an interview tonight. So I guess that'll do it for us today here on the CCS 2 specifically. Elysium taking the series over New Origins 2-1. We hope you guys enjoyed. Big shout out to our production, Golden and Pop Tart, doing all the stuff that you guys see, making all the magic happen. I've been Rod Chains, joined by Elsa the Queen. Hope you guys had a good time. Have a good rest of your week, and we will see you neek week for week 6 of the CCS.